I know things seem bleak right now, but let's talk about things you can do to get into community and organizing. Sorry about my voice. You guys know I have pneumonia and now also insomnia from the meds that will heal my pneumonia. First, I want to start off by saying I know everyone has different timelines for grief. Take your time, but it's really important that you decide that you won't stay down and you won't be defeated. And then to do anything you can consciously to regulate your nervous system and bring yourself back to whatever level of safety that you can. But also create space for the fact that that might change. You might get regulated and then get deregulated. It might be in flux. You might not be able to find that place of safety. Create space for whatever your experience is, and then you can move forward and maintain that space. If you are paralyzed right now, I totally understand. Save this video and come back later. Again, I'm sorry, I have pneumonia. So not only am I speaking slower, I'm not able to move at the speed or with the freedom that I'd like, but there are things that I have been doing from my bed with my phone that I want to talk to you about to give you ideas of things that you can do for yourself to feel more engaged and less hopeless. Some of you might know my background includes community organizing experience and leadership through my Buddhist organization. For over 15 years, I was very actively involved, and I also did local volunteering on the side. I'm really still hoping for a recount, sweep, miracle scenario, but if that doesn't happen, we need to act as if and get moving. Okay, here's the part where we get into what you can do. First, easy access. You can join virtual calls with existing organizations. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are many organizations that are existing that would welcome your volunteer work and engagement. You can get on community newsletters, or some individual creators who operate in certain spaces here on TikTok have newsletters themselves. I mentioned established community groups. There are political community groups like the Working Families Party, which I am involved with. There's also the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. The DSA requires a fee, so if that's not accessible for you, I would suggest the Working Families Party. There's also the Plain Democratic Party, if that's what you want to get involved with. There's also different organizations that support causes that align with your politics. My suggestion would be to find something that you're passionate about, because when you're passionate about something, it makes it easier for you to stay engaged, and it helps with patience when humans are humans. So any niche that's important to you, any cause that's important to you, any issue that's important to you, look in those directions. There's always an organization that exists. If you're lucky and you live in a big metropolitan area like I do, I live in Los Angeles, then it might be a lot easier to find local events. If you don't, you might have to start with virtual events. I joined I forgot who hosted it, but they had Gavin Newsom, and I watched it with some of my family members. We joined that Zoom. I was also able to join a Working Families call, and I plan to go to a Working Families Party event here in Los Angeles. I also got connected with a subgroup that's affiliated with the Working Families Party for artists in Los Angeles that is having a local event that if my pneumonia clears, I will be going to. There's also other people making calls here on TikTok. This is a niche for me. I am Black, for a Black community organization that I'm getting connected with. If you're not as extroverted as I am, you can go the donating money route if that's accessible to you. They always are looking for people to donate money. There's also ways that you can help with support or logistics. Organizations need help with venues. They need help with setup. They need help with breakdown. They need admin help, helping with materials. They need support digitally, physically. They need help distributing information. Wherever you are, start with where you are. Start with what's accessible to you and what is interesting to you. And if that's too much, if you're more introverted and you're not ready for that, you can start with your literal community in your neighborhood. You don't have to organize politically, but you can get to know your neighbors, find out things that are important to them, just build relationships. I have been already building those relationships in my community. We're able to share information, articles, news events, physically support each other in community. Sometimes that feeling is enough to get you going, to give you the confidence to move forward. I have a lot of elderly people who live in my community, and I have relationships with them where I help them and they help me with things. I more so help them, but that's okay. Again, start where you are and give what you're comfortable, or give what you can and want to give. If you are going through an organization route and they're not as well known or not as well organized, try to think about connection, intention, or purpose, the actions that you can take or the organization is taking or that you would like to take within the organization, The impact, like you have an intention, what your goal is, what your purpose is, and then what the impact is. Have they done that already? Have they participated in community? Have they got moving? If they haven't, that's okay too, but if you're more comfortable going with an established organization, you can look at the impact that they've already had in your community, online. You can look these things through, suss them out, see if you feel comfortable about it before you commit. How many you decide to engage with is totally up to you. I named a bunch of things that I joined. I may or may not be engaged with all of them at differing degrees at different times, but again, I'm seasoned at doing this, so I'm comfortable with the level of engagement I've chose. Choose a level of engagement that works for you, that you're comfortable with. If you're just getting your feet wet, start with one. Maybe start with a really established one. But whatever you do, find the doers. When you feel doubt, find the doers. Find people who are clear if you can, like the things I just talked about: connection, purpose, action. People who are seasoned will have those things kind of clearly outlined for you, or if you go to a meeting, they'll make that clear to you. If they're building out, they'll make it clear that these are the things that they're building out and what direction they're intending to go. I will give a little caveat: be careful in these spaces, because in community care spaces, people can and do take advantage occasionally. So use your discernment and make sure you're prioritizing your safety. There are people who have experience and who are comfortable juggling all of these elements and all of these details and people and events and dates and all of these things. So if you feel like you have none of that experience, don't be overwhelmed. There are people who do have it, and everyone at one point started from ground zero. So just be glad that you're starting it all. Another thing I would say is don't be swayed by turnout. Whether there's a very large turnout and that could be overwhelming or intimidating, or there's a very low turnout and you feel like, oh, I'm not prepared for this, try not to weigh that. Try to see how you feel. In this community, you get to set your boundaries and your limits, and know that that can be flexible and it can change. Your level of engagement, your desire to engage, whatever that is, if you want to engage with this group or that group, that can all change. So if you give yourself that sort of like space, it makes it a little easier, less intimidating. There's always something, and if there's not, maybe you are brave enough to start carving that out and you become the person who organizes and makes that cause something. Either way, we know that right now we really need community, and we need to bond over our shared humanity. So if you have any questions about anything I said, it's literally 3 a.m, so this might not have made perfect sense. If anything was unclear, you have any questions, let me know. If you can, boost this or save this for when you're ready to do that, if you're ready to do that. And if not, that's okay. There's other ways to be helpful and be of use. But we're not alone. You're not alone.